Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to another Phantom Chaser video with ScooterPie666. So today, we're going to talk about Phantoms and which ones should be used for Battle Team and which ones should be used for Mimic Team. So, I actually am doing this video because I had a question. Somebody asked on our video which monsters were better for which team. So it's sort of a complicated answer, to be honest with you. The truth is that any monster technically can be good for your battle team. It's more about how sturdy they are, and if they're at a high enough level to put them into your battle team. The other thing is that you want to make sure you have monsters of the right stat too, or the right attribute. So, they're either strength, their dexterity, or their magic, right? Or, it's not magic, it's intelligence. The strength monsters tend to have the highest amount of hit points and defense. Although, like Baphomet, it's pretty much an attack monster, straight up hardcore attack monster. She does have fairly decent defense, but her hit points are eh. But she's an amazing attacker. She has a ton of attack. She hits everybody. She has some wonderful attack skills. Now, these other two I happen to they're just goblins from the Christmas event. Another good frontline monster is Anubis. He's a good dexterity attacker. Close range attack. His skills hit real hard. Mine's not very good right now, but he definitely is a good frontline hitter. Now, typically you want either healers or buffers in your Mimic team. Although you could go with, like, let's see, what's a good example? Like Winter Mermaid. Now, she's a long-range control, but so her first skill, which is what the Mimic team always gets, is their first actual skill, Blizzard. For her, attacks all enemies in the front, does damage, and has a 50% chance to freeze the enemy for 7 seconds. Typically with a Mimic team, what you're after is the freeze ability, not the damage. So you can do something like that if you want. He's a good Mimic team person because his skill heals the entire party by 6,900 over 7 seconds and removes all debuffs. That's really handy. Let's see. What does Coon do? I don't remember. So Coon is also an interesting one. You could use him as a Mimic. Increases the evade rate by 60% for 10 seconds. And then if they do get hit, it returns 30% of the damage taken back at the enemy. So you could use him as a Mimic. He would be a good one. Grim Reaper is an interesting one. It would only... You see, the problem with Grim Reaper, he places Death Sentence on a single enemy, and then Death Sentence is that enemy dies after 18 seconds. So, what I found is that he was not useful early on at all. He is very useful against tanky monsters, though. But he also is really, really squishy. So he is actually better to use as a mimic when you have to fight against tanky monsters. And I would put him as like either in the middle or at the back for a mimic. I would not put him in the front, in the first spot. Or put him as a mimic for a long range monster is what I mean. You could use her as a mimic. She increases the defense for 15 seconds. You gotta just think about your situation and what it is you need to do. Like, pretty much, and then, you know, also you want skills that complement whoever you have in the front. Like, for instance, Taru is an excellent mimic to any frontline attacker, any close range attacker, because he restores hit points by 4,090 4 times and creates a barrier that absorbs 20,000 damage for 15 seconds. When using the skill, becomes immune to immobility and mind control. Excuse me for 1 second. That makes him an excellent to put like behind Baphomet or Anubis or another close range attacker, because they can just get injured a little ways down and then use him to heal themselves up and put a barrier on. He is excellent. Definitely use him. I use him all the time. If Baphomet's in my party, he is also. He is a close range control monster and attacks a single enemy with 11,000 damage and applies stun for 2 seconds, and has a 50% chance to apply fear to nearby enemies for 5 seconds, and fear causes the targets to run away. So you could use that if you wanted to for a mimic. However, I recommend building this monster for your front line because he adds a lot of control. He helps you control the battlefield. I recommend him for the front row. Bastet. This is another monster that is a support monster, but I recommend him for the front row. His back row skill would be deals 160 damage with attack to nearby enemies and decreases the mimicked enemy's mimic time by 50%. So that's going to be useful in like arena, probably when you're fighting against other players. But the reason I say his front range, or he should be front row, is because some of his other skills are pretty useful too. He's basically just a really good buffer and debuffer of enemy. This passive, when hit points fall below 10%, recovers hit points by 450 and resets all skill cooldown after 4 seconds. Becomes invulnerable to enemy attacks and immobilized during this time. And then this other passive, when anyone in the party successfully blocks or evades an enemy attack, it increases the party's attack and defense for 5 seconds. And the effects can stack. So, I mean, definitely, like, this should be, if you put in a long-range support intelligence monster, there's not really a better one than Bastet. And I recommend building it for the front row. Who else? Baba Yaga, I don't know. It's okay. Sucks an enemy in, has a 20% chance to swallow, spits them out. I'm not even going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. There's way too many euphemisms there. Blue Dragon, you could use... He's a good frontline tank, but you can use him for a Mimic too, because his Mimic skill would be increases block rate by 70%, melee block by 4,000, range block by 8,000 for 20 seconds, and taunts 2 enemies for 10 seconds. So, you know, if you have a, like you say you put Death Knight in there, and then you put Blue Dragon, you could make your Death Knight even more tanky. Who else? Who else? Frankenstein is front row. Frostcat is front row. Gargoyle could be a good Mimic. Attacks all enemies and adds Petrify for 7 seconds. That could be useful. Kelbros, I think, is front row. I'm trying to remember what he does. Attacks all enemies. Oh, he's a 50% chance to taunt. You could use him for Mimic. There's better Mimics though. I think I already went over Kun, right? What else we got? Ming. You could use Ming for a Mimic. I already talked about him. Where is she? I know there's another girl there. She, what's her name? Staria? Staria? She's a pretty decent Mimic. Heals the ally with the lowest hit points by 6,800. You could use if you're early on, you don't have some other healers, you could use her. She's a decent healer. Let's see, what's her name? She's close range attack. She probably is not a Mimic. I would not use her for a Mimic. Tiger Man, I'm pretty sure he's not a Mimic either. Yeah, he's not. He would be a frontline attacker. Succubus, she could probably do a Mimic. Pretty sure. Attacks all enemies, 22,000 attack. Front row, and charms for 25 seconds. Charmed targets cannot use skills and will attack their ally, so that could be, you know, it's a battlefield control thing. So there's that. Anyways, so I think you guys could probably get the point. Basically, you just need to look at what their first skill is and what you need to do. If you need to add a little bit more healing or a little bit more battle control to give your attackers more time to do things. It just depends on who you have in your front line and what skills you need to complement what skills they already have. Like, for instance, when you have squishy monsters, you're going to want to have more healing in your Mimic team, or more defense building in your Mimic team. And if you have tanky monsters, you're probably going to want to have more attack and control in your Mimic team. Does that make sense? I hope so. You guys don't forget to hit that like button, and if you subscribe if you have not already, and for sure leave me some comment if you have any questions or anything you want to know. You guys take it easy.